Imagine this. You're staring at your phone, waiting for her reply that used to come in minutes but now takes hours. You replay last night's conversation, searching for the line you crossed. You apologize for things you don't even believe you did. You send the "just checking in" text because anxiety is clawing at your chest. And that's the trap. It's not love you're negotiating, it's your self-respect. What would you think if I told you the single fastest way to flip this dynamic isn't to become sweeter, nicer, or more understanding, but to become a man with boundaries that have teeth? Not threats, not tantrums, boundaries. Calm, non-negotiable, consistently enforced standards that say, "I value my time, my attention, and my peace. If you want access to me, it costs behavior." Here's the pattern you keep falling into. She withdraws, slower replies, colder tone, plans that turn vague, and you chase. You fill the silence with effort. You prove your worth with long paragraphs, elaborate dates, over-explaining your intentions. You think generosity will make her feel safe, but what she senses is a man who is willing to trade his center for her approval. That's not safety, that's leverage. Withdrawal is an old control move because it tempts you to abandon yourself. The minute you do, attraction dies. Why? Because attraction in women is wired to respond to a man's internal gravity. Boundaryless men orbit. Boundaried men are a sun, so let's name the game and take away the power. When you feel the pull to chase, your first move is indifference. Not cruelty, not games, calm non-reactivity. You acknowledge reality and adjust investment. Say less, wait longer. If her response time triples, yours returns at your natural pace, not your panic pace. If she cancels last minute, you say, "No worries. Let's revisit next week. I'm unavailable the next few days." No sarcasm, no lecture, no needy probing for reasons. Then you step back. You don't reward chaos with more access. You don't negotiate with a disappearing act. Boundaries redirect your energy from persuasion to selection. You also need a hard stop for emotional manipulation. If she uses tears, sulking, or silent treatment after you state a reasonable need, your line is simple. "I want a solution, not a punishment. I'm available when we can talk respectfully." Then disengage. No follow-ups for 24-48 hours. If she reaches out in good faith, you reward that with presence. If she doubles down on drama, you remove your attention, the actual currency she's after. Consequences aren't loud. They're quiet, consistent, and boring. That's exactly why they work. Here's how you stop over-investing and test interest without becoming cold. Move from declaration to demonstration. Instead of promising the world on date 2, simply match her effort in real time. If she texts 2 lines, respond with 2 lines. If she suggests a plan, you lock it in. If she stops suggesting, you don't carry the relationship on your back. You create space that forces clarity. Interest that's real thrives in oxygen. Interest that's fake dies when you stop resuscitating it. You also need a framework for conflict. When she escalates, talking over you, raising her voice, twisting your words, you use a calm boundary script in consequence. I don't do conversations where we yell or interrupt. I'm happy to continue when we're both calm. If escalation continues, you end the call or leave. Not storming out, not slamming doors, just leave. Attraction grows when your behavior says, "I won't abandon myself to keep you." Women don't consciously test because they hate you. They test because they want to see if your center is real or cosplay. Most men fail not because they're bad, but because they think love means tolerance without limits. It doesn't. Love without limits dissolves you. Now the internal cost you've been paying. Every time you chase, your nervous system learns that your worth is contingent. You become hypervigilant to tone changes, emoji frequency, and punctuation. You stop sleeping well. You flood her with reassurance, seeking disguised as check-ins. Your career focus drops because your brain is trapped in anticipation. Boundaries interrupt this addiction cycle. They retrain your body to tolerate space, to trust that you can survive not being chosen, and to insist that you will only be chosen in a way that honors you. The shift starts small. Before you reply, you breathe. You ask, "If I respected myself completely, what would I do right now?" Then you do that, even if it risks loss. Especially if it risks loss. You will lose people who relied on your lack of lines. Let them go. Scarcity makes you valuable, but not because you're faking it, because you're finally allocating your energy like it matters. That allocation is the masculine calm women find magnetic. A man who knows where he ends and the world begins. You're not trying to control her. You're controlling access to you. That distinction changes everything. Have you ever felt yourself chasing harder the moment she pulled away? What did you say that you wish you could take back? Which manipulative behaviors, silent treatment, last-minute cancellations, guilt trips have you tolerated, and how did you respond? What boundary do you need to set this week that scares you because it might cost you her attention? You learn the patterns fastest when you stop explaining them away and start naming them in real time. The availability test looks like a last-minute ping at 10:47 p.m. You up? You've had 3 days of vague conversation, and suddenly she wants spontaneity when it only benefits her. Old you rearranges, rushes, sells out tomorrow morning's focus to be the hero tonight. Boundaried you replies the next day at a normal hour. Last night I was asleep. I plan ahead. Let's choose a time that works for both of us. Calm, neutral, final. If she's genuinely interested, she'll respect the frame. If she's only interested in control, she'll call you rigid or boring. That's the beauty of boundaries. They filter without you lifting a finger. Another common move is the micro-disrespect. Tiny digs delivered with a smile. You're cute when you try to sound smart. Wow, that shirt is brave. It's flirtation that steals from your dignity. Most men laugh it off to avoid tension. Don't. You don't make a speech, you don't beg for kindness, you reflect reality. I don't do teasing that cuts. Keep it playful or I'll check out. Then you actually reduce presence if it repeats. Less eye contact, less warmth, shorter calls. Not to punish, but to align. Your attention isn't compatible with contempt. Attraction isn't supposed to feel like dodging knives. You also need a plan for the hot-cold cycle. She's sweet for 3 days, then she turns distant with no explanation, returns when she senses you're centered, and repeats. The mistake is trying to talk a pattern into sanity. The cure is consequence. You scale investment to the average, not the peak. When she runs cold, you live your life, gym, friends, work, sleep, without announcements. When she runs hot, you enjoy it, but you don't anchor your week to it. After 2 cycles, you express it once, cleanly. I enjoy you. I need consistency. If you're unsure, take space. I won't chase. Then you stop initiating. If she stabilizes, great. If not, you were never losing a partner. You were losing anxiety with lipstick. Reality check. Boundaries require loss tolerance. If you can't stomach losing her, you'll lose yourself. That's why you build a life worth protecting. Your mornings are not for arguing through text, they're for movement and momentum. Your nights are not for decoding memes, they're for rest and strategy. Attraction spikes when your schedule exists before she enters it and remains when she's unpredictable. You become the man whose time has a cost. Not a performance, a principle. Let's talk about withdrawal as control and how indifference breaks it. Cues. She delays responses immediately after you ask for clarity. She becomes affectionate only when you pull away. She gives affection publicly and distance privately. Psychological trap. Your brain links her approval with relief from tension, so you chase dopamine, not connection. Break it like this. Name your standard without drama, then detach. I don't do on-off. I'm here for mutual effort. If that's not where you're at, no hard feelings. Then you don't negotiate. Your silence isn't anger, it's policy. Indifference isn't pretending not to care. It's refusing to self-betray for a hit of validation. Overinvesting is subtle. You tell your life story on date 2, you offer solutions she didn't ask for. You send morning paragraphs to a woman who replies at sunset with a single emoji. Fix it with a simple ratio rule. Match, then lead. Match her depth and frequency for 2 to 3 exchanges. If interest is mutual, lead by suggesting a concrete plan with a day and time. If she accepts and shows up, you invest. If she deflects twice, you stop proposing and stop feeding the chat loop. Your attention is not a buffet. When you stop subsidizing ambivalence, interest either matures or exits. Both outcomes serve you. There's also the jealousy bait. Heavy likes from other guys on her stories, a playful mention of an ex, or a casual, "My friend took me to dinner, no big deal." The untrained mind argues or interrogates. The disciplined man does neither. He shifts from verbal to behavioral signal. Sounds like you've got a lot going on. I'll let you handle that. Ping me when you want to plan something real. Then he becomes scarce. Not because he's hurt, Because he will not compete in a circus. Curiosity will bring a woman who respects you closer. Ego will push a chaotic one louder. Either way, the data arrives. Scripts help when emotion is high. Try these word-for-word lines and mean them. I don't raise my voice and I don't get talked over. We can pause and revisit. If plans change, give me notice. If not, I'll make other plans. I like affection, not tests. If you want something, say it. If you're unsure, take the time you need. Deliver them with steady tone and eye contact. Then follow through. Your nervous system will scream the first few times. Breathe. Each repetition builds the muscle of self-possession. But here's the deeper layer. Boundaries are not about controlling her. They're about controlling your exits. You decide how long you stay in rooms that cost you integrity. A man without exits becomes resentful or performatively nice, then explosive. A man with exits stays soft, direct, and unshakable. That softness is rare and powerfully attractive because it's backed by willingness to lose what's misaligned. Women relax around a man who can walk away because he won't hold them hostage with need. When was the last time you swallowed a disrespect with a smile? What would you say differently now? Where are you afraid to set a simple standard because you think it will scare her off? Which cycle, hot, cold, jealousy bait, last-minute plans, has hooked you? And what consequence will you apply this week? You think boundaries will make you come off as cold, but the opposite is true when you pair them with warmth and clarity. Picture this. You're on a third date, things feel promising, and she starts probing your limits. Not maliciously, just human nature. You're not like other guys, right? You'd drop what you're doing if I needed you. Old you nods because it seems romantic. Boundaried you smiles and says, if you're genuinely in need, I show up. If it's just because you're bored, I keep my word to myself. Watch the micro-expression. Respect flashes when she meets a man who can care without collapsing. Attraction isn't a reward for self-abandonment, it's a response to stability under pressure. The emotional trap is the belief that intensity equals intimacy. Intensity is easy to fake. Late-night confessions, love bombing, marathon texting. Intimacy is built through reliability, shared experiences, and earned trust. Intensity addicts you to spikes. Boundaries stabilize you through seasons. When she tries to fast forward, talking exclusivity after 2 dates, wanting access to your schedule and your soul before there's data, slow it down without shaming. I like where this is going. I move intentionally. Let's keep getting to know each other. If she's sincere, she'll match your pace. If she's hunting certainty before character, she'll push harder or pull away. Either outcome is information. Your job isn't to manage her feelings, it's to manage your standard. Here's a surgical move when you sense manipulation wrapped in vulnerability. She makes a provocative comment. Maybe you're not as into me as I thought, after you didn't reply within an hour. Your instinct is to overcompensate. No, I'm so into you, followed by a flood of reassurance. Don't. Acknowledge, reframe, stabilize. I'm into you. I also have a life. If you need constant replies, we might not fit. If you want quality, I'm here. Then change nothing. Keep living as you do. Your consistency is the test and the cure. A manipulative person needs your frantic energy to power the game. Your steadiness starves it. Sometimes withdrawal is less about games and more about her own anxiety. Boundaries don't crucify her. They clarify the container so both people can breathe. When she disappears after a great date, you give one clean ping 3 days later. Had a good time. If you want to meet again, Wednesday or Saturday works. If she engages, great. If she drifts, you let it. You don't chase a ghost into a maze. You reclaim the week and your sleep. That's not punishment, that's sane logistics. Men burn out because they confuse effort with outcome. Boundaries align effort with evidence. Let's handle conflict in a way that builds respect instead of scorched earth. Suppose she brings up an issue and frames it as a character attack. You're selfish. You never think of me. Many men will defend the charge rather than redirect the process. You say, I'm listening, but I won't do labels. Tell me the specific behavior you want different. If she names something concrete, negotiate. If she circles back to global accusations, end the talk. I'm open to solutions. If you want to vent or insult, I'm out. Then leave the room or end the call. You teach people how to fight you. Train for precision, not chaos. Over time, those who can't handle precision disqualify themselves. That's not a loss, it's an audit. There's also the money and favors trap. Early stage, she hints, "My rent is tough this month," or "I hate dealing with car stuff." The reflex to rescue is a quick hit for your ego and a long-term wound to the frame. Kindness is fine, entanglement is not. You can be generous without creating dependency. I don't mix money with early dating. I can recommend a mechanic. If she shames you for that, you just saved yourself a year of being a walking wallet. Real partnership welcomes your structure. Users resent it. Your body will protest as you implement these lines. The urge to backfill silence is chemically real, so you train physiology. When anxiety spikes, you stand up, roll your shoulders back, inhale slowly for 4 counts, exhale for 6. You pull your attention from the phone to your feet, to the room, to the work in front of you. You choose a replacement behavior, 10 push-ups, a page of journaling, or scheduling tomorrow's workout. Boundaries fail when they live only in your mouth. They succeed when they live in your calendar, your breath, your posture, your choices. Now apply detachment with kindness in a real scenario. She cancels an hour before dinner. "Something came up, sorry." You reply, "No problem. I plan ahead, so last minute doesn't work for me. If you want to try again, give me a day's notice." Then you don't rush to reschedule. You go to the gym, you eat well, you sleep. If she comes back with a thoughtful plan, you accept and enjoy. If she vanishes, you didn't lose a match, you preserved your standard. The man who can walk away from misalignment invites aligned energy. It's not mystical, it's logistics plus self-respect. The internal cost of ignoring all this is cumulative. You'll start hiding your needs to keep the peace, then resenting her for a peace you negotiated against yourself. You'll become reactive, sarcastic, or numb. That's how good men turn bitter. The shift is deciding that your approval is the first one you need each day. You set 3 non-negotiables: movement, mission, and mindful minutes before you open yourself to romantic chaos. You become the man who can love deeply because he won't love blindly. Women feel the difference. So do you. When have you mistaken intensity for intimacy and paid for it later? What signs did you ignore? Which rescue impulse, money, rides, constant reassurance has drained you, and how will you replace it this week with a clean boundary? What's one simple sentence you'll use the next time conflict turns into character assassination? There's a reason your boundaries feel shaky whenever romance turns public. The second other eyes are on you, her friends, your group chat, Instagram, the frame gets tested in subtle ways that punish men who need approval. You're at a dinner with her friends, and she playfully tells a story that paints you as the clueless guy who needs her to manage his life. Everyone laughs. You feel heat in your face and the urge to fix the image right there. Don't. You smile, you place a steady hand on the table, and you reset the reality with one line that's gentle but unmistakable. "Cute story. I run my life just fine." Then you pivot the conversation. If it happens again, you address it privately. Not with a lecture, but with a standard. Roasting is fun when it stays light. I won't do jokes that lower my respect in front of people. Keep it playful or we'll skip group nights. If she pushes back with "don't be sensitive," you don't debate feelings. You restate the boundary. "This is my standard. Join me or don't." Then you follow through. Public frame is where most men bleed out because they win laughs and lose gravity. You choose gravity. Digital life requires hard edges too. You don't compete with a phone for attention. If she scrolls mid-conversation, you pause your sentence and wait. No sighing, no scolding, just a clean stop. When she looks up, you continue. If she stays glued, you end the interaction. "You're busy. Let's talk later." You set notification blocks during dates and expect the same. "I'm off my phone when I'm with you. If you need to check something, just say so." Make it explicit early. You don't chase on apps. Double texting after silence becomes a once-only courtesy. Circling back, if you want to meet, say when. No response, no follow-up. Your digital boundary teaches your nervous system to prefer clarity over constant maybe. Exes and guy friends are common landmines. The insecure man tries to ban, control, or interrogate. The centered man sets terms for access to his life. When an ex keeps popping up in her comments or DMs, you keep it simple. I don't do triangles. If your ex is still in the picture, I'm not. If you want to date me, close that door and keep it closed. If she says they're just friends, You judge by behavior, not a label. Is there secrecy? Are plans changing around him? Are you getting crumbs while he gets familiarity? You don't need a courtroom. You need a decision. This doesn't work for me. If it changes, you know where to find me. Boundaries protect your time from endless cross-examination. Sexual boundaries matter just as much as logistical ones. You never use intimacy as leverage, and you never accept intimacy used that way against you. If she withholds affection to punish, you don't chase with gifts or apologies you don't owe. You name the behavior and detach. I want closeness, not control. If you're upset, say it. If you're using distance to steer me, I'm out until we're honest. If your boundary is condom use, pace of escalation, or exclusivity before sex, you state it calmly and enforce it with your body, not just your mouth. Desire without discipline is leverage against you. Desire with discipline becomes trust for both. Let's talk recovery after rupture. You set a line, she crossed it, you enforced it, and now there's silence. The old you would spiral, break the boundary to relieve the discomfort, and teach her that stonewalling works. New you uses a simple repair protocol that keeps your spine. If you contributed to the problem, you offer one clean amends. I interrupted and raised my voice. That won't happen again. I'm still not doing conversations with yelling. If you're up for a calm talk, I'm available tomorrow after 6. Then you hold your line. If she meets you there, you rebuild. If she escalates or ignores, you don't chase. Repair is cooperation, not a hostage exchange. Over time, boundaries turn from scripts into reflexes because your environment adjusts. The flaky friend fades out because you stopped being a backup plan. The chaotic dater disappears because she can only breathe in drama, and you offer oxygen and order. The woman with character leans in because your structure makes her femininity feel safe and expressive. None of this requires speeches. It requires 3 consistent moves. State what you do, state what you don't, and let the chips fall. Here's a practice that speeds the transformation. Pre-commit consequences before emotion hits. Write down your top 5 non-negotiables. Basic respect, punctuality, calm communication, exclusivity terms, and digital etiquette. Next to each, write the first consequence you'll apply. If late without notice twice, I stop planning time-critical dates. If yelling starts, I end conversations. If eye contact remains active, I opt out of romance. Then rehearse those lines aloud until your body can say them without tremor. This is not paranoia, it's preparedness. You're not waiting to be wronged, you're training to honor yourself. Detachment is the final amplifier. You can set boundaries and still leak need in tone, eyes, and timing. True detachment lives in your options and your mission. When your calendar is dense with purpose, lifting, deep work, men you respect, skills that matter, you stop white-knuckling outcomes. You become generous because you can afford to be, discerning because you've earned the right to be, and serene because your day doesn't collapse without her. That serenity is the it factor you've been trying to fake. You can't fake it, you build it. Where do you get pulled into performing in public? Can you pinpoint the last time a joke cut your respect and how you'll respond next time? Which digital boundary will you implement tonight? No double texts, phones down on dates, or a clean exit when scrolling starts. What pre-committed consequence will you write down and practice out loud before the week begins?